Go.
Hey, what's up? This is Flex Wheeler with another edition of Flex for Life with my co-host Greg, and we got my other co-host with us again, Q. So today we're going to be talking about the benefits of belt squat over traditional squat, and then later on we're going to get deep into a conversation that's very rooted globally, is the negative effects that alcohol has on you. That's a study that's just been released. But first and foremost, I want to ask you guys to like, follow, and subscribe to the page. We appreciate you guys' support. Further than that, Greg, let's go.
All right, so this came up a little while ago, the whole idea of the belt squat, and then Q had a lot of questions about it. But first, I want to show you some more traditional free weight squats. We'll start off with, we've kind of been pumping up my daughter Neely, but this is her doing a high bar back squat. So the bar is right up in the top of your traps, right at the base of the neck, and you see her angle is almost straight up and down. If we're to put a line where the bar travels, you can see it almost travels a straight line up and down. So very well controlled.
Yeah, that's how I always squatted, with the bar right in between my traps before my back started.
All right, so that's a high bar squat. A low bar squat. This is more of a power lifter squat. You can see it's low. It's almost below her shoulders, right? Where her shoulder blades are. And she leans forward slightly. The bar's still going up and down, but you can see her butt went back. Plus, this is a power squat or power lifter. So she's only doing one rep, but you can see that the travel distance is different.
Yeah. They bend their body forward and push their chest down. I was actually watching a video of a power lifter who turned into bodybuilding, and he was saying that's what he did. He was a world-class power lifter, and he's like, what they did is they would bend forward. He actually said the opposite of what I've always said. Look up, keep your eyes up, and squat down. But he's like, no, don't do that. He goes, they will actually lean forward and try to push their chest through their legs, which is a lot of stress on the back, on the lower back.
Well, that was kind of the thing, because I remember when you said you were getting ready for the 17 Olympia, when your comeback, your back wasn't really allowing you to squat anymore. So you did this.
That's it.
The belt
Famous
squat.
belt squat. Yes, sir.
How does that feel in conjunction? Because I know it's like when I was younger and squatted, it's almost like there was a groove, a natural groove that I just felt good. And I knew when I was in it, when I wasn't in it. It just felt just very natural that I knew I was in the right spot. If I was leaning too far forward or too far back, I would know. It's just this sweet spot. How does that feel in terms of your glutes and your hams? How does it feel compared to?
Well, you can tell, like, from using this belt squat, because your back isn't involved, you can actually lean forward and put more weight over your knees, which actually activates your quad. So the deeper you go, then you're going to get your hamstrings and your inner quads involved. But yeah, you're right. When you're squatting, well, I can't say if you're doing it right, but if that's the way you do it, you can definitely feel a difference between.
You had enough prep
to
know it feels good.
Yeah.
So what about lifting up your knees?
Took his upper body out of the equation. So
yeah.
So what about warming up in these spaces? Because I noticed that now that I'm a little bit older, it feels like I have to warm I have to warm up before everything. I just can't go jump into it. Any recommendations around just that preparation before you start doing anything?
Well, I'll jump on that one. I mean, Stan Efferding, who is, how many world record squats has he made?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Too many.
Back in the day, he would warm up with an empty bar. One of the strongest men in the world. He might even warm up without the bar initially. He might be doing a lot of leg swings, hip swings, and such, and then go straight to an empty bar and then work his way up. And that's pretty much consistent with power lifters and weightlifters. They start low because they know better. He probably blew something out at one point.
Yeah. For me, when I competed, and even now, it's normal just for me to start with leg extensions, and that's how I warm up. And that's like my always my go-to. My first exercise isn't doing legs, it's leg extensions, which actually warms the knee up and warms the quads up also for me.
Since you showed me that, that's what I do. Is I start with, then I do some like deep, like I'll squat all the way down and like put my arms in between my legs and just sit in it for.
Yeah, stretching. Yeah.
I'm just glad I can still do that.
Man, I can't.
I'm just glad I still can do it and not. Man, this aging is something else, bro. I will tell you this though. And we did another podcast today with a young lady that's last week, that's 75 years young, and she still works in the school full time, wearing high heels. I mean, she's in great shape, walking around everybody. And one of the things she emphasized is you got to move. She said you have to move and you got to hang around younger people.
Mm.
She said it makes a difference. There's a different energy. She said there's things she can do with younger people that she could not do those same things with older people, because it's just a different energy. It's a different frequency. So who you're working out with makes a difference.
Right. And to get back to the point, belt squats allow you to take your back out of play before you get older, before you get injured. And it's an amazing a machine that was invented. I can't think of the young man's name, but he's sitting in that video watching me use his belt squat and everything. But yeah, I mean, times have changed. It's more education, and a lot of us are older. We can't do those squats, unlike Greg, who could still, go ASS to the floor and squatting. A lot of us can't do that. And that's where the belt squat comes into play. It completely takes your back out of play. And I actually advise, younger, stronger athletes to be more advocates for their younger bodies, knowing that it's going to get old one day. And you don't have to have the injuries and problems that I do.
Right. And one of the big things, like just to pull up Neely's again, when she sets up, you can see, well, actually we got better video, but basically everything underneath her neck is engaged, and it has to be, otherwise you're going to fall over. Right. So traps, chest, lats, deltoids, abs, everything, deep transverse abdominis, they all have to activate, otherwise your upper body will cave in. So the energy expenditure is a lot higher with full bar back squats versus when Flex was doing his, anything underneath that belt or over that belt didn't really have to work very hard.
Nope.
So you can put a little bit more into the leg work there if that is your goal.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, I mean, I see what Flex is saying, but at the same time, with performance sports, you have to look at the fact that they do need to train their body as one unit, especially, let's say, if you're, well, in her case, a boxer.
Yeah.
You want that to work together. Whereas in our case, this was, me when I was supposed to be getting ready for a show, and then COVID hit when Flex and I first started working back together again. And you talked about, how your glutes or your hamstrings feel versus your quads. That's another great thing with the belt squat, is you don't have to balance a bar anymore. So you could really play with foot placement and try to target specific areas. And in this case, it's more of a rear, posterior chain day for me. So glutes and hamstrings was my focus, but I was finishing off with the squat. So I had my feet moved forward on the platform. You can see there, it's almost all the way up to the beginning. And not to brag, but you can see the hamstrings really kicking in towards the bottom there.
Yeah, that's more for your glutes and your hamstrings. And Greg, you're right. When you're doing regular squats, you're actually activating every muscle in the body, and it's way more exhausting. It takes a lot more energy.
Yeah.
And when you're actually doing belt squats, you're only activating your lower half of your body. So yeah, there's a huge difference.
And you don't have to worry about falling over, which is always a good thing.
Yeah, no, that's
true.
Yes.
Conversely with that one, when I wanted to get my quads more activated, I moved my feet back, and I actually use wedges to elevate my heels to still keep my feet flat. So there, I'm getting more quad activation. I'm going all the way down. Now, unfortunately, my legs are too short, so I had to actually hit the bottom of the platform. So I needed to add more of those mats on there.
Greg.
Was that?
You 6'6".
Yeah, not even in my dreams. I'd be happy with 5'10". But it's a great tool to change things around, because I know the majority of people are not Neely or Stan, right? They're not elite level athletes that really have to worry about that kind of stuff. They just want to look better on the beach, or like I always say, they look better naked.
Yeah.
So, for a lot of us, even now, Flex and I were talking the other day, things have changed, and the newer generations, even the girls, they want to look athletic with at least a little bit of muscle. So having those well-defined legs, I mean, on a personal level, yes, I did marry an IFBB pro, but nothing looks better than, shapely legs in a mini skirt or in a bikini.
Or summer dress.
Yeah. When you see the outline coming through, yeah.
Agreed completely. And also there's a huge difference between power lifters on how they squat versus bodybuilders on how they squat. Power lifters, they're activating more their their glute and hip muscles, where bodybuilders are trying to activate their quads only. And based on, like you said, Greg, your foot placement will change that. But normally when bodybuilders are actually doing squats, they're targeting their quads, where when power lifters are doing squats, they're targeting more their glutes, their hips, and their hamstrings, because those are the bigger activation muscles. So that's kind of the reason why you'll see guys who squat just enormous weight won't have massive legs, versus where Ronnie was like kind of in between.
Yeah.
He did enormous weight, but he did it in a bodybuilding platform, and his legs were just insane as far as the sweep on them and everything.
I mean, no offense to Stan, but I think that was always his weakness, was his legs.
Yeah,
On
definitely.
the
He
bodybuilding
always knew that. Yeah, he
But,
always knew that.
but the average person that's exercising, from a sports perspective, when I play ball, one of the big things they talked about was explosion.
Mhm.
So when we would get to the bottom of the squat, they would be like explode, and they wanted to like push through, and it created a situation where you were pushing, not really, I would say, not just with your lower body, but you probably had some lift with your legs and everything else, because from that position of making a tackle, or from a position of blocking or running the ball, you had that same type of body position. And right before you got to the point of contact, you almost into, whether you're running or what, you lower your body and you come through with that explosion that includes your lower body and your back and your shoulders, and everything is engaged. That's why, I guess for a lot of the athletes that are more of a contact sport, that whole motion is really important, because for that space, does that in your mind, I won't say weaken, but affects the strength of the lower back when you use the belt squat versus the overall full body squat on your neck? 'Cause I know sometimes I tried different ways. I always felt better when it's up higher, but when I would get to where you have like that just little groove on your back.
Yeah.
In that, whenever I would do that and I would use a higher weight and more reps, I would always feel like I'm gonna pass out once I'm done. It's like it's like it affected my breathing. It affected. I mean, is that the norm, or is it just?
Now you're just being a baby.
Yeah. And first,
Sorry to put it that way.
You just go.
First, to answer your question, doing squats vary on what you're trying to achieve, right? So I remember that in football, exploding. You're right. When you're going in for a tackle, you're activating from your glutes. It's almost like an electric current just shooting all the way up. So obviously, when you're doing squats, that's what you have in mind. For bodybuilders, they're trying to build their quads or their glutes based on their foot position. When you're doing belt squats, you understand that you're completely taking your back out of play. So does it weaken your back? No, because it's more of an isolated movement for your lower half. You're not trying to activate your middle and your upper back or your lower back. So again, it just depends on what you're actually trying to achieve.
Got it. What about your
All
foot
right.
placement? One more question. What about your foot placement? So I
Oh,
know it's
that's everything.
That's the same thing. It depends on your goal for that
Yeah,
day.
that's everything. I know for me, I don't know why. I just always was stronger. I always did more of a sumo style squat. I did sumo style leg press where my legs are wider and my feet are turned outward, where, you know, somebody like Ronnie would have his feet very close and his toes very pointed in. So that's just it based on what you want to target. So having your legs a little bit wider is going to activate more of your inner quads, your hamstrings, and as you come up, is going to attack the sweep of your muscle. Having your legs very close is going to activate your lower knees, as we would call it in bodybuilding, and then all the way through the outer quad and frontal quad area.
Wow, that seemed like that would be a little dangerous.
It depends on how you built. Some people, you know, I didn't have a wide waist. So for me to go narrow, I don't have, it's like a building, it's being straight up. So
Yeah.
being that I had a very small waist, I had to activate and create a wider platform by opening up my legs a little bit wider. And, you know, you notice the majority of world-class squatters have a natural wider base, or just like linemen, right? They look for linemen with wide hips,
Thick.
you know, and thick
Yeah.
from the body going up, you know. So it's just, that's just the way it is.
Right. And then sport wise, I mean, the two weightlifting and powerlifting are two separate sports. Again, if I pull up the girl doing the powerlifting, you'll see, I actually don't see it very well here. My bad. But powerlifters tend to take a wider stance because then they have less of a range to travel. Just like
Yeah.
the wider the grip on a bench press, they travel less distance. Whereas, I mean, you can't see it with Neely when she's doing more of a weightlifter squat, which is the Olympic sport. Her feet are fairly close.
Yeah.
And she's traveling very, I mean, she's only 5'2", but she's traveling a good distance versus a power lifter.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that factors in there. So, I mean, when your goal is to get as much weight as possible down and up, you want to make as little, you want to travel as little distance
shortest range as possible
to get those white lights
Yeah.
or the greens, which is, you know, 3 greens is what gets you a good lift. So
So
that
any
would factor in just specifically there.
So are any like really, and I apologize for my ignorance. Are
That's
there
what
any really tall men that are actually, you know, very prominent in the strongman competitions? In the
Strongman.
Yeah, there's one that Stan used to talk about all the time. I can't remember his name, but then also there's Hathor, that's, I think, is over 6'2".
Yeah,
Hathor.
The strongman comp is a lot of huge guys.
Yeah, they're built like those biblical guys you heard about in the Bible,
Yeah.
you know, that are just monsters. I mean,
wide.
you stand next to these guys, I mean, their hands will cover your entire hands. Big, thick skeleton muscles, you know,
Yeah.
wide waist, just
Big
yeah,
guy.
true guys that have just, you know, for me, I'm always thinking protection and combat. And, you know, I look at a person like that and I'm like, Jesus, you know, like, man, I'm gonna need your help because there's absolutely no way I'm going to be able to hurt this guy because of their size. But yeah, they're true just giants. The majority of all of them are just absolute giants.
So the average strongman is 6'2" and 337 pounds.
What's the tallest?
Because
I guess a lot of that just have to be genetics. I mean, those strong guys. I mean, there's certain points where you just can't build past a certain level. Like, I think it was Julius.
Mattis. Yeah.
Julius Mattis. You know, is he's at 795 or so. Bench press without. Well, I mean, what is his category? What is his category? Do you know?
He's just in a strongman, just the strongest bench is this category. So there's no weight or anything. They're just trying to break that record of getting over 800 pounds.
That is
He froze again. He's gonna have to reboot.
That's a state of being. And just putting your hand on that bar and trying to move it. It's just like, man, I have no need for this. If I need this, I need a gun.
Yeah.
That's my mindset. If I need
No,
this,
and
like,
those guys are they're just built for it. They have the bone density, they have the structural frame to be able to handle that type of weight. But then you do have, and we posted them before, a few small guys who are short, not extremely muscular, who's just like doing some ungodly weight, and those are just very few and rare breed. But 9 times out of 10,
it's just
you have as my grandmother would say, he's built like a brick, shit house. That was her old saying.
it's definitely there's only so much your genetics allow you to do. I really see that. The more since I met you, I look at bodybuilders a little differently, and you can clearly see that there's some things that are just straight genetic. I mean, and particularly how you look at guys later in life, their structure and how they look in comparison to how they lose to look in just their natural frame. Because some guys they're lean out, they become thin. Other guys they you know look like a walrus.
Yeah, get heavy.
You get
Yeah,
heavy.
and that's
You just
I've always understood that, because you have some people who are just naturally heavy eaters, and as athletes you burn all that off.
right,
But being that you're a naturally heavy eater, if you don't change that way that you eat, as you're not that active anymore, obviously you're going to become obese. Me, I'm just a naturally, ectomorph. I don't eat that much, so it was a problem being able to put down 7,000 calories a day. But you can see now in my real form how, skinny I am, my bone structure, how skinny, my frame is and everything. So, yeah, obviously, it's genetic, right?
yeah,
Everything is genetic. It's just whether that athlete finds his home for his genetics. A lot of times a person might be in love with the sport, but the sport ain't in love with them, and they just don't give up in trying.
right. Like I laughed at my brother. He's 45, still trying to rap.
Jeez. Is
Love
he
him.
any good?
I don't know. I don't listen to that stuff.
Yeah,
I don't listen to that stuff.
Yeah. So sorry, half tour is 6'9".
6'9". Yeah,
Not a small
yeah.
guy.
And he's held a world record quite a few times in strongman and at the Arnold Classic. Yeah. What was his name on the Game of Thrones?
The Mountain.
The
Gregor
Mountain.
Clegane.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just a true monster of a guy, but understanding his path, his past, he was actually a basketball player. So you imagine that skinny frame, putting on that type of muscle and building that type of strength is just, yeah, that was just written in his genetic code.
Do you think um do you think people who train that at that level, do you think it has any impact on lifespan? Um in terms of, that's a lot on your
On
that's
your
a lot
heart.
on your body. Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Then for lack of a better word, the additives that are taken in the process. Do you think it had then, one of the things that then you mix that possibly with alcohol and not getting enough rest. It seems like that's a cocktail for a shorter lifespan.
This actually
Yeah,
says there's no
well,
definitive strongman life expectancy right now that they've researched.
yeah. And because the heart is also a muscle.
Yeah.
So a lot of those guys later on in life end up having heart complications, because just the muscular wall of the heart is so thick that it can't pump blood to it anymore. But obviously, when you utilize sport technology drugs in its purest form, it's not about health. It's about achieving a goal and trying to have your name written and in the stars. So, there's a difference between the two, um, physical fitness, weight training versus trying to be the best in the world. But it's not just that, it's anything do their life shorten. So you look at a NFL player who's a Hall of Fame, did they shorten their life? They're going to have knee and back and neck problems. later on in life. So I think some of us are just wired to be extreme about what we care about and what we love, and just some are not. And then you got to look at it in a broader span. There's more unhealthy people who
Don't
have
understand.
had health incidents that's never done anything. So you got to look at that in a broader. There's a very small percentage of people who are professionals who push the envelope. A very
Well,
small percentage.
it could be because of our next topic why they had health issues.
Yeah, definitely. And let's dive into that. There's been new research that's actually shocking that talks about the negativity of actually just one single drink a day. And let's have Greg pull up that information.
Nothing to pull up really, just the Health and Human Services Department commissioned a report or a study on alcohol intake and health. And this included, sorry to tell you, the departments of the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Office of the Assistant Secretary for Health, the Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, so the CDC, Executive Office of the President, Office of National Drug Control Policy, Indian Health Services, National Health Institutes for National Cancer Institute, National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism, and Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. So this was actually commissioned because every 5 years, the U.S. government redoes the food recommendations. So they wanted newer recommendations or current information on alcohol consumption and health, so they could put that in the new food recommendations that are going to be coming out later this year. Now, some interesting things that came out from the overall study. We're going to go over the very basic parts of it. First off, they found that the Gallup poll, when they researched that, an historic low of U.S. adults are drinking on any kind of regular circumstances. So it's down to 54% of U.S. adults in the year 2023. That is down from 67% of adults that were drinking in 2022. So 13% of adults decided they either died or they decided they're not going to drink anymore. So that's a weird occurrence. They said they haven't had a decline in drinking in adults like that in decades, especially after COVID. During COVID, that actually went up. Then they found that less than 50%, and this is actually an improvement, but still less than 50% of Americans know that alcohol is carcinogenic. And I always thought that was just something that we already assumed. We just drank it because it's fun or whatever, but we knew that it had negative health consequences and could cause cancer. So that's the funny thing. Now, in the study, they broke it down into 3 separate groups, and they made it very simple. 1 drink per day is group 1, or the lower drinking group. 2 drinks per day was the second level, and 3 drinks or more per day was the third level. So not really very intricate, but pretty straightforward. Now, what they found, the negative effects begin at the low level of consumption, and they progress sharply from there. So 1 drink per day resulted in a 1 in 1,000 person chance of dying from alcohol-related causes. That's everything from cirrhosis of the liver to various forms of cancer to drunk driving incidents. Now, you guys already know the numbers of this, but if you were to take a guess, I guess you don't really have to guess, taking it up to the second level or 2 drinks per day changes that factor from 1 in 1,000 to 1 in 25.
Jeez.
And that's a regular drink. That's a beer, or that is a mixed drink at your local restaurant, not like when I would make for you at your house, right? Which would probably be like 4 drinks in and of its own. So that's a huge change, though, right? Just from 1 drink to 2. Now that's on a regular basis per day. So obviously that's a cumulative effect.
Does it include wine?
Sorry?
Yeah.
Does that include wine?
Yes. Any kind of alcohol, 1 serving of is it 1 drink. So, the whole French paradox and all those things are 1 glass of wine a day puts you into that 1 in 1,000 group right off the bat based on their study. And that's where the debate started to form around is what would be considered moderate drinking for the general public. We already know what the professionals consider it, one drink a day is considered moderate. I don't know. I know a lot of college students that wouldn't even think that is a warm up.
Yeah. What is 3? What category 3?
I didn't see the numbers on that one, but if it went from 1 in 25 with the second drink, I'm almost thinking it's almost a 1 in 1 at that point, or maybe a 1 in 2.
Which really contradicts that old saying, a glass of wine a day help relaxes and is healthy for you.
Well,
Right.
you know, that came from winemakers in California.
Mm.
And they called it the French paradox, right?
Interesting.
Now, this is the part that really scared me, considering, you know, I lost my aunt and my father to cancer, who both did not drink. But alcohol was associated with an increased mortality in 7 forms of cancer: colorectal, breast, liver, oral, pharynx, larynx, and esophagus. A lot of those made a lot of sense, right? Because it's digestive tract.
Digestive, yeah.
Breast one, I don't know. I mean, you know, I don't know if what the relation is there, but they also stated that according to their research, women had a higher risk than men of all of it.
Mm-hmm.
So something to take there. And also, alcohol attributed causes of death led to a reduction of 15 years in lifespan on average.
So you take that fact that an African American man life expectancy is less than 70, depending upon your zip code, is 65 to, you know, early 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And then you add in there drinking.
Regular, yep.
Then you add in there smoking, anxieties of life,
Stress,
maybe
not exercising also.
Yeah, not a healthy lifestyle, not enough sleep.
Not eating properly.
Man, that's
yeah, the bases are loaded. The bases are loaded.
Bases are loaded. The bases just got cleared with a home run. It's bad.
Jeez. It's just
it's a death. You know, the more seniors I talk to, I mean, that's my life. I had a room today where we spoke with you know, about 50 seniors. And last Saturday was about 40, and it was about 20 last Friday. You know, it's a distinct difference between those individuals who are exercising and have a consciousness of taking care of themselves. It's a distinct difference in how they move versus those that don't, and particularly those who have a consciousness around their you know, they say the first thing, all those situations, particularly men, the first thing they touch is their belly. The first thing it touches is their belly. And I had a young man in his mid-70s, you know, showing me the exercise. I actually do it where he gets on the wall, slides down, and just hold it, you know, and getting parallel and just holding. He's, you know, he was in his 70s, and that's part of his regimented exercise. So I can't emphasize, you know, doing those things while you're younger and then carrying it over into, even if it's moderate, carrying those things over. Because I know for me, it's a huge difference.
What's that, Greg?
Moderate is great starting early. I mean, like I said,
sure.
What if someone in their 21 started putting $50 a month into an IRA until they retired at 55, 60?
It's a nice piece of change.
$50 a month. Right?
Yeah,
that's huge. And honestly, if you're doing a 401k at work, it's pre-tax dollars anyway.
Right. Yeah.
So you just did 3 days a week of moderate exercise. That's going to accumulate. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in there, but I just figured you like.
I mean, it's true. It's true. I mean, at the end of the day, there's what we eat, the amount of sleep we're getting, the amount of movement we have, our water intake, in the sun.
I was hoping you were going to say that, especially after today.
Yeah, in the sun, man. It's I went through a period of, you know, we've all talked about, you know, challenges with mental health or just dealing with life, and people shouldn't see mental health as you crazy. We all crazy. To live in the world that we live in and be able to deal with, you know, people being shot, murdered, killed, and all that kind of stuff, and we just keep going without any serious, you know, contemplation. But in my toughest times in life, man, it's been nature that has really given me that. I remember one day I was driving. It was just a bad day. I mean, it's just like a series of bad days. And for whatever reason, I was at the stoplight, and I looked up, and I realized I could not remember the last day I looked at the sky, looked at the clouds. It was in March, and I pulled into a Walmart, and I got a kite, and I went to the lake and flew that kite. Man, I'm like, well, damn.
Yeah.
Well, I pay a therapist. It's just, man, I just watched the birds fly and listen to, and when I did, I just got quiet. I could hear the insects. I could hear the birds. I could even hear the wind through the trees, and just stared at the sun, and just that sun on my skin. I just felt better. So now is in my mind. That was over 10, 15 years ago. Actually, longer than that, because my daughter was just born. So it's more like 17, 18 years ago.
Oh,
Now, every time I don't feel well or things are going bad, I'm trying to find the sun. I'm trying to
Yeah,
find
you say that. I remember when I was living in California, and I had this bad stomach pain that they couldn't figure out, and I was in a hospital for like over 3 months. And at the time, me and Sheena was dating, and she would drive from LA and come down and stay in the hospital with me a few days, and she would just wheelchair me out into the sun. And just, when you have something every day that you can use and it's taken away, you really realize it, then. And I remember getting out of the hospital, and Pearl was young, and we would just walk down to the park. And I would just sit there and just look up and like, my God, look how beautiful it is. And you're right. You can hear the wind blow, you can hear the chirping of the birds, you can smell different senses.
Yep.
And that's something that we all can do every day, but we're in such a hurry and so focused on achieving something, we take those things for granted. Even you hear about prisoners who are in prison, how they just get that 1 hour when they go out, and that's something that they had before that they didn't utilize properly, and when it ended up being taken away, it's one of the things that they find most sacred. But I remember Greg jokingly saying, it was a doctor said, if you don't stand out in the sun butt naked for 15 minutes, you're deficient in vitamin D. And that made me think about
going
like the
outside naked.
people who, yeah, oh no, nah. I know you were just there. I'll just live through your, through what you went through. But no, just like the people, the construction workers who work in the sun all day. I bet they're not deficient in the sun because they're out there all day, or people who have to work outside all day. It's just one of nature's, almost like resets. And then finding out how, like, just being barefooted and walking out and just standing on the grass, how it sends these electric signals through your feet and ground you. And I wonder, like, would that work for me because I only have one foot? Will it still work? And I guess not. But it's just amazing that some of the most natural things work so tremendously well in the body.
Well, that's like one of the new slang terms the kids say, right? Go touch grass. But it's funny if you watch, like and you and I are dog people right now, but when you wake up in the morning or she's been cooped up all day because we're at work or whatever, I'll let her outside. She'll run out into the sun, lay down, and just absorb it and look around her.
My dog Achilles is so different.
Oh,
He just will not go outside. He'll go outside to pee and walk right back in. Only if I walk out and sit on the porch will he come out and sit on the porch, but he will not go in the backyard and just lay down and bathe in the sun. He is just like,
oh, we can't get her back inside when she gets outside.
Huh?
We can't get her back inside when she's outside.
Oh no. He used to be like that when he was younger. You open the door and he would just take off. Now he'll walk to the porch and just look back and forth. He won't even walk even further.
So,
yeah.
Question. So we know there's individuals that are, for lack of a better word, drinking a little too much. And
that was me for a
Are you
long
talking
time.
about Greg?
I remember you saying Greg drink, but Did you? I don't think you. When we was in California earlier this year, did you drink, Greg?
No, I don't anymore. But
Okay.
I would have blown past that.
Whoa. Wasn't it just a couple of months ago where you were getting it in with our buddy from England?
Oh, that was a special occasion.
Okay.
Hey, he's not averaging one a day.
And he and HRR Global paid for it, so that's a different story.
I just have never liked the way alcohol tastes, whether it was
Oh
beer.
God, I do. I'm not
I've
gonna even
never
lie.
day one. I've never liked the way it tastes at
Me
all.
neither. Me neither. Me neither.
No,
I just don't like the way rum tastes, but that's about it.
Really? Everything else you good with?
Tequila doesn't do me a whole lot of it good.
you're
or
not
anything.
tell-
No,
so
pretty
you
much
saying the
everything
first time
else.
you drank beer, it tastes good to you?
The first time, no. I don't think anything tastes good the first time anybody drinks anything.
My point exactly. So there's
So why
people. Yeah,
continue?
that's my point exactly.
College, like
That's
just
like one of the
just to
biggest things.
throw it out there for you. This is one of the refrigerators in our garage for a long time.
Jeez.
Dude, I was in college.
Beer,
bought a-
obviously, I like.
I was in
that's-
college and I bought a 6-pack of wine coolers. I'm grown.
Oh, I don't like wine coolers.
I bought a 6-pack of wine coolers, drank half of one, and gave the other 5 away.
That's one of the biggest things like teenagers want to do when they turn 18 and start drinking. And I remember we were somewhere and they were shooting beers. That's where you put a hole in it and flip the lid.
Shotgunning.
Yeah, shotgunning. And I could do that, because you wasn't really drinking it, but just to sit there and drink a beer, I remember just think like, wow, this tastes like pee, and from shooting those beers, I stayed up so long that I actually got my hangover all at the same time. And that just turned me off. Like everything was loud. I was trying to drive home and I was in a Volkswagen with extremely loud exhaust and it was annoying me and people are annoying me. And it just turned me off. I mean, from there on, I just never really liked the taste of alcohol, except if it was a margarita. Then not a margarita. What is it called? It's more of a sweet drink. It's like
a
daiquiri, strawberry daiquiri. Those are only things like I could drink, and I was just like, oh, it's just an adult smoothie,
So
that's not too wrong of a statement.
So what does one do? You're in that space, because do we assume that there's some mental and emotional issues going on when individuals consume? Because in like 3 drinks, I know people that
there's a
drink
chemical aspect of it for sure.
So could it be could peer pressure lead
That's out there, by the way. That's not a water in his hand.
That was a couple of years ago.
Just saying.
Yeah, wow, you pulled that up, huh? Those are those rare times. But you're right, Q. I think the majority of it comes from peer pressure. I think it's really, really normal in college, unfortunately. It's a social thing. Or you have people who are working and go out and socially drink afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that turns into like an addiction where they don't even have to be around anyone and they can have a drink. Or you might have a man who comes home like he wants to unwind and he'll pop a couple of beers. You see that in every movie. Or the woman comes home and she'll have a glass or two of wine. But like we were talking about earlier, the side effects or the decline or shortening of your life of being a pro athlete, and then if they did all these other things to enhance, I always argued that the things I did was to better myself, to take care of my family. It was never recreational. But you have these people who go out and do these things just to feel good or just to socialize
or to escape.
Or to escape, and is actually worse than what we did, or even just let's go deeper than that. Just smoking. That's such a normal thing in movies. They normalize that, you know, the Camel Man and all that stuff, where it has been always known that it's one of the most toxic things that you can do, but the government pushes that, or the industry pushes it and normalizes it, you know. So now you have kids who want to be cool that are smoking in high school and stuff like that. So I not only think it's for those reasons I said earlier, but also I think it's just pushed so hard now, just in the media, on the various different media platforms and stuff like that. It's
Right.
almost like if you don't do it, you're a loser.
You know, and I think that's particularly I like marketing and looking at how things are positioned in our society. A lot of this stuff goes back to how things are marketed to it. We even go back to prohibition and the way things were done. And then you have some of us have like a bad boy. You tell me I can't do it, I want to do it just because you tell me that I can't do it. But there's a wise man that gotten to know pretty well over the last 57 years of my life. And he said if unless unless someone says fire and you run out of the building, unless you hear gunshots and duck, you probably do not want to do what everybody else is doing.
Mm.
Yeah, he was very. I always grew up with that. He said if
I like that.
everybody else is doing it, you want to think about it, because if you want to be great in life, you want to be successful in life, you're probably not doing what everybody else is doing. Lex Wheeler to be
That's
the
rough when you're younger.
say what?
That's a rough one to follow through with when you're younger, when you want to fit
You beat
in.
in my head, man. I'm telling you, there's a lot of decisions I made in life from that he's done. There's a few things that he's told me in life that just really, he said it in a way that really
Impacted you.
impacted me. You know, it was a real connection in a space. But to this day, if everybody else is doing it, I'm not saying I'm not going to do it, but I'm really gonna think about it, because most people in life are not successful by their own standard.
You
Right?
Yeah, I had this saying with Darius, because that's when I kind of noticed kids in high school doing these crazy things, these different drugs, and that's where they started creating these recreational drugs, and they gave them a really cool name, like they were
Yeah.
actually marketing towards kids.
Yeah.
And I said, son, I go, you wasn't designed to fit in, you're designed to stand out,
Yep.
which means you can't do everything that everybody else does. And you have to be that person who steps in when there's a weak person, where normally people would just stand there and watch around. I go, that's, you know, he always said that I want to be special like you. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? You know, I can take you to so many prisons that have incredible athletes. They were special, you know. So what do you mean by that? He goes, well, I want to be a good person. I go, well,
Yeah.
you got to put that to the road, son. I go, you're not going to get challenged with that until probably you get in college, where everybody's drinking, everybody's doing drugs, or the weaker person is being picked on. I go, those are the times that you have to be special. It's not because of the cameras turn on and you're on a football field. It's because of the lifestyle that you chose to live. And you got to understand that you're going to be hated because of it. You're going to go against the normal. You're going to go against the system. So
They often in life they thought they were picking on me. They were actually giving me energy to know I was doing the right thing, not doing the things that everybody else is doing. It should be a trademark of your character. What leader does what everyone else does? That's why
well,
he or she is a leader.
let's not go too deep into that right now. I mean,
Well,
Yeah.
it's by definition. Let me say what great leader.
yeah.
Great leader by normal
Chosen leader.
standards.
Yeah, I don't know. You got to define great. You got to
I
go
say
deeper
about
in that.
certain moral standards. It does not infringe upon the rights of others.
Yeah.
Well, just to kind of go back on leaders and all that kind of stuff. So in the report, it said, you know, 1 drink a day was level 1, 2 was level 2, all that kind of stuff. So current U.S. recommendations for food intake outlined for the years 2020 through 2025. Dietary guidelines for Americans advise that adults who choose to drink should do so in moderation, whatever that's supposed to mean, which means 1 drink or less per day for women, 2 drinks or less per day for men.
So
Those
now
are
you're
current
125.
They're
dietary
contradicting what they're saying.
No. This is the current ones going back to 2020 that was enacted in the year 2020.
Oh, okay.
So this study was commissioned to help them create the new guidelines for 2026 through 2030.
Yeah, FDA, man.
So
Your body tells you, man. I'm just being honest. Your body tells you. And one of the things my body has really told me is particularly in the last year or so, you don't need that much damn food.
Especially as you get older, because you're not
You do not need
as
it,
active as you are when you're younger.
and I would encourage anyone. And one of the things that, since I've met Flex and became friends with Don, and it's like being conscious of how you feel after you eat a particular thing. Don is pretty disciplined, and I am to the degree on his fasting. He does it at the same time every week. He has his same regimen, which is good, because every study that I looked at, those who lived a disciplined life has a much greater chance to live longer and be more successful and have a happier life. Those wake up and just do whatever, it's just like you in the wind. You get blown in all these different directions.
Ebbs and flow with the waves.
Where everything go, you don't have control. But if no one gets anything else out of any of these podcasts that I participated in, I'm a living witness that reducing your food intake and just moving a little bit has significant changes. Even with my lunch now, I mean, I used to go meet people, and I'm in Texas. Everybody want to eat Tex-Mex, right? I don't do that anymore. If I go somewhere like that, I'm going to have I have fajitas or something like that. I'm just going to eat the meat. I'm not going to get the tortillas. I eat a few of the beans. I mean, I just if you go eat a regular sized lunch, and a lot of time they be drinking, so they have a drink and a lunch, and you're supposed to go back into a space and function. If you just think about how you feel, or just record how you feel after certain meals, you begin to think, because a lot of times, what do you want to do? Go straight to sleep. How many hours within a day that's lost across America because people can't function after lunch because of what they ate for lunch? And there are a lot of people out there on the job, they're getting that alcohol in at lunchtime. They're getting that alcohol in at lunchtime.
It's a vicious cycle.
So let me ask you this, Greg. Do you think it's one of the solutions, if you are a person that consumes a lot of alcohol, you stated that you don't drink anymore, is part of that?
I drink a lot less.
He said, I didn't say that. He's being
Thank you for
clear.
that correction. You're not doing one a day, right?
Sorry?
You're not doing one a day.
No.
Okay. So what caused that change? What made you decide to make that change?
I plan on doing a show next year, so it doesn't really go along with it.
So it's better for you.
Honestly, it's not to be technically healthier or live longer. That's not on my bucket list.
Well, it's on my bucket list a little long, because I want to be able to impact the lives of my grandchildren and possibly
Plus, it's expensive as hell nowadays too.
Jeez. Drinking?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. If you drink the good stuff.
It's the good stuff. No,
I don't drink cheap alcohol, so that it's
educators. What's the good stuff? Because I have no idea.
Vodka wise, I mean, you got the basics. You got Belvedere, Grey Goose. If you want to go import, you got Zabrowka. I like Crystal Skull. What? If you're gonna go whiskeys, it's got to be the Japanese whiskeys right now. Those are the best ones out there. Micro brew beers, good IPA. That would be like right now. That could be $17 for a 6-pack at the liquor store.
Wow.
So you'd be spending, if you go and buy it at say like an IPA, a good IPA at a bar, you might be spending $12 a bottle.
Wow. It is funny. My I was talking to one of my friends not long ago, and he was talking about, dating and drinking. And he's like, you've done a pretty good job. I was showing him how I structure my finances and, being disciplined in those spaces, understanding what I'm spending.
Mhm.
He said the last, several years, you've been able to do, quite a bit changing with your financial situation. Say, yeah, one of the big things is, even though I don't drink, you go out on a date.
Mm.
You go on a date, 2 or 3 times a month at least. And that's being light.
Modest.
That's being modest. And say you go to an event, you're paying $15 for a drink.
Yeah.
And you're expected to pay for that in
You pay
dinner.
$15 for a drink, and that's not including, so they get something to drink when you
That's
first
not
sit down.
bad. Try going to Vegas and doing that.
So Q, you've been able to save a lot of money just from not dealing
Not
with
dating,
the
seriously.
spoils of life.
Yeah, I'm on this thing now is I really started looking, and for any business owner, this is very crucial. As a business owner, if you really get, I have a background in accounting, so I kind of like the accounting pieces of things. But if you make a commitment to really understanding where your money is going and how much you're wasting, I mean, there was one point I'm ashamed to admit it. I was spending $600-700 a month at convenience stores.
What?
Mm.
What were you getting?
Mountain Dew and barbecue potato chips.
$600 a month worth?
A few other things here and there. But Mountain Dew, barbecue potato chips, crap like that. But you think about it, you're going to get a thing of gum. It's freaking $6-7 for a little packet thing of gum.
I remember it
What?
used to be 25 cents.
Yeah, I mean but as I was saying though, if you make the decision to really start looking at your money in detail and cutting out the waste, you'll be amazed at what you're to do. And as a business owner, now I'm able to make decisions based upon my financials. So I get paid from many different vendors, but I have a monthly customer report that I can look at and see exactly what I'm earning from each carrier. So I know what my revenues are. I know what my expenses are, and I know what my bottom line should be. So I can look at that and really make decisions. So then you're able to start putting money aside for certain things. My next big project that I'm working on, I partnered with a real estate broker, and we're going to go half. We're going to buy the land. We're going to build from scratch. And we're going to turn around and sell. There are many spaces here we can get property anywhere from 60 to 100.
Don't tell me. I don't even want to hear that.
60 to get lots from 60 to 100,000 on the lot. And then we're able to spend another 150 or so on the bill. So we're in at say 200, 240. We're in selling for 400, a little over 400. It's so bad in a lot of areas where my buddy, who's a general contractor, all of his clients that he's building for, none of them live in the United States.
Wow. Greg, by the way, you live in Silicon Valley. What's the square footage of your house and what's the value?
1,730 square feet, give or take. For us, we have a relatively large backyard compared to most people, but valuation went up this month. It's actually at $1.37 million.
Can you believe that, Q?
1,700 square feet.
Yep.
So so Q's house is 4,700 square feet. With a really nice pool, big backyard. We'll say, big garage. Don't know how big the lot is. When it was first purchased, it was like 430. Now it's at like 780.
Yeah.
It's 4,500 square feet, 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms.
Yeah. It's just different. I've always like when
3-bedroom, 2-bath.
Yeah.
Say why?
We have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
The thing that sucks though is the freaking taxes on it.
It's not that bad. It's like 1% basically.
No, I hear a lot of places, bro. You're looking at 3.5.
Was that?
You're looking at about 3.5.
Yeah, I mean, our percentage isn't bad. It's because it's just a lot because of what the houses are value or are sold at.
Yeah, but if you have a house, say you have a house here, and that house is say 700,000,
Mhm.
and just say you had 3%, you got $21,000.
Yeah.
In taxes. So
Yeah.
you're
Well, I mean,
over $2,000.
it's
almost,
bad in Nevada right now too because they have the rolling valuation. So every year they reevaluate the value. They put a new current valuation on the house for tax purposes.
well, I know now I understand why people drinking.
Well, hell, so I wasn't that bad for a while until I had my last business partner where I had the pre-COVID MMA center. If you would ever work with that guy, you would drink too. I guarantee both of you would be drunk every night.
I have this question though.
The one thing going to keep you from beating the shit out of that guy. His name is Chris. That's what I'll say.
Tell us how you really feel, Gray.
He still owes me about $150,000 that he'll just
Bro, I don't even
claim bankruptcy instead.
I had a guy walk on me with $100,000, and so probably. I mean, I ain't want to go there. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody in business have had these losses.
You want to drink now,
do say what?
You want to drink now too, don't you?
Hey, I tell folks this is a serious thing. I went to a period of life. Now I've always been anti-drinking, anti-smoking, all that kind of stuff. But when I became an insurance broker, I started drinking. I started cursing. I started cursing. All of the above.
And you want me to join that?
I backed off because I learned how to work smarter. I mean, I put the passion up in people before, and I understood the thing with healthcare or insurance as a whole is that it's not positioned correctly. People are told that you're gonna get rich quick. It's not a get rich quick thing.
Oh.
Is you can do very well. You do very well in life over time. Creates an opportunity for control of your time, very flexible, good life. But it's not a get rich quick thing. It's not. It's consistently grow your income over time, and you can live you can be pretty comfortable. You can be pretty
You
comfortable.
guys are talking about like business partners ripping you guys off. Imagine as pro athletes how we've gotten ripped off. I'm in a lawsuit now with a company that I used to be a part of, that on Christmas Day they dropped my contract, like, Merry Christmas, we're not re-signing you. And that's right when I lost my leg. And then come to find out, for 2 years they continued selling the product, not thinking that I would find out. So now I'm in a lawsuit. A company took it on. What is it called? When you don't pay anything until after the lawsuit.
Contingency.
Yeah, contingency. Took it on as contingency. Looked out like 100%. Man, you're right. You're gonna get paid for that. But so many professional athletes get ripped off. And even actresses and actors and singers. I remember hearing about so many incredible singers and actors that just fully trusted their accountant to find out that they were literally broke.
Man,
I mean, how can you not switch gears like, man, I'm going to go handle my business with this person?
Well, that's why a lot of the more successful entertainers, because actors, singers, everything, they're becoming producers also. And some of the most successful athletes are becoming promoters. Like, I mean, look at Floyd Mayweather. He became a promoter on top of fighting. He promoted his own fights.
Yeah.
Conor McGregor did the same thing. So I mean, they want to be they're the ones who are taking advantage of themselves, basically.
Well, the thing is, this is the deal. I say it respectfully. The willingness to read and study, or finding somebody that's willing to do that with you or for you. The word choosing equity in situations versus the cash sometimes. Lowering the cash, choosing equity. I haven't been nowhere, no offered opportunity, nowhere close to what Flex has experienced in his life. But I always look for an opportunity of ownership.
Mm-hmm.
I've always looked for opportunity, no matter what you come to me with. I'm like, okay, how do I? Even a lady talked to me yesterday about investing in her business. She wanted an investment, then she wanted to pay me back. But then I'm like, hell no. No,
are?
I'm not a bank. I'm not a bank, and then everything is contingent upon you. If I'm going to partner, I'm going to partner. I'm going to have equity in it, and
And
that's just
you're right. That's as an athlete, where that's our desire to get a contract, right? And to be able to make money off of that. And so many of us are actually wired to be paid like that. And I remember, like, for years, a close friend of mine, Robin Chain, would always challenge me, like, man, why are you still comfortable in helping building these companies? You build them up and then they drop and you have to start all over. Why don't you? I mean, if these companies, he goes, have you ever thought, if they're willing to pay you this amount of money, how much are you really worth? Why won't you ever
yeah,
just take the dive and just betting in on yourself?
yeah,
And it was really difficult to look at it that way, because I was so comfortable
Mhm.
in getting contracts and being paid, regardless. Our thing was like, it doesn't matter if you make money or not. I'm getting paid because that's a contract, where in actuality, it does matter if that
right.
company is making money or not.
Deferred gratification is a term that my dad shared with me. A lot of things in my life is 100% to do to my father. But what makes it so special is that he didn't get that from his father.
Hmm.
My mom didn't
Where
get
do
it
you
from
get it from?
a desire to want better for his kids.
Hmm.
He just always, and I get that from him, is I just always believe that there's a better way. That if I'm patient to think through it. And my dad, one of the big things about my dad, he says, son, as culturally, right? One of the things that our culture, and I don't even really say black culture anymore. I believe more in human culture, because my culture is centered around the people I'm engaged with. Greg represents a part of my culture. Flex represents a part of my culture. Whoever I engage with and impact my life, that has an impact on my behavior and how I make decisions, that's a part of my culture. But one of the things he said is that having the ability to step back and really look at situations where you are able to, and this is crucial to anybody listening to this, particularly if you are of an African American descent, because it impacts our community more than others. He said, learn how to take the emotion out of situations.
Hmm.
Learn how to take emotion out of the situation and logically think through it. Take the emotions, which means that sometimes you can't make decisions right now, but get in a space and think through it. He said one of your greatest assets can be learn how to critically think through situations, minus the emotion. You'd be amazed at how much better you're able to make decisions in life. And sometimes those things don't work out because you didn't make a decision. Guess what? You made a decision, because you can come to peace with it. But if you're gonna bet, I'm wholehearted with it. Any athlete, every situation, if you got to have the money, split it up. Have an equity position and have a upfront type of contribution to help you be sustainable.
There's
But you
some that
see,
have done that.
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
You know,
Shador is doing that right now.
who?
yeah,
Shador Sanders is doing
dude. I
that
go
right
back to
now.
people
Well,
like
it's not
Matt.
just that. I mean, if you look at, I mean, again, going back to the who's taking advantage of whom, but 2 years ago, Shohei Ohtani signed a 10-year, $700 million deal with contract with the Los Angeles Dodgers. He deferred over 98% of it till after he turns, I forgot what age, but basically he's taking $2 million per year now for the 10 years of the contract. And then once it's expired, then it gets paid out over a 30-year period of time or something.
Yeah, even with the guy that played for the Sixers.
Oh, Allen Iverson.
Yeah, I mean these
Yeah,
whoever those are people that cared about you to do that, put you in those.
yeah,
Go back to
man.
people like Master P selling out the back of their car. MC Hammer, all those guys started doing things that understood they need to control their own.
Their narrative.
So every athlete is a business. And if an athlete thought of himself as a business that has how many years you want that business to operate, right? And then how do I continue to earn money off that product, which is yourself? That most of those relationships are going to be when you're younger. and being able to spread out over time, because people are not going to offer you, if they're offering you, I tell them, like, for example, they paid him $700 million. How much you think they think they're going to make off paying him 700
Oh,
million?
they already said they're averaging almost 200 million a year based off of his signing alone in sponsorship dollars.
See what I mean? That's
So,
why
yeah.
that's why I
That
say
continues
no.
for 10 years. They just made 2 billion off of him.
Yeah. So you made 2 billion on 700 million, and then 700 million is deferred over time. So you get to go make your money before you got to pay that bill. That's why I walked away from corporate America. It's like, if they're gonna pay me this and I'm comfortable, they look into at least 10x. At least 10x. So I'm like, well, if I'm doing it anyway, why the hell am I doing it for myself? If I'm the leader and I'm in charge and these are the results, and they're willing to pay me this, and I'm doing the work, it's my creativity, come on, man. I'm
That's why I won't work for health clubs anymore, because I've been making them money for decades. And when Flex first met me is when I opened up my first place.
Yeah.
So I said, I can make this for them, and they're paying me such and such. What could I be making for myself?
Now, I will tell you this though. Being a true entrepreneur, it can support the bottle. It can support the bottle, because, man, look at here. It has its challenges. But once you get through, you build relationships, because the reality is this: a lot of times you become and you develop habits like the people you're around. So if you are a drinker, right, a lot of times you're going to be around, you're not going to go hang out at your friend's house if he doesn't have anything to drink, right? If you're a smoker, if they'll not allow you to smoke at their house, dude, you're not going to do that, right? That's why a lot of people, I'm cordial with them, we're acquaintances, but we're not really friends, because I don't do the things that they do that require you to spend the amount of time, right? So if you're not cool with me not drinking a beer, not smoking a cigar, or smoking weed, if you're smoking weed, I'm gone. But, I'm not going to do that. I just don't like it. I don't want to do it. But you develop the habits of the people you spend time with. So if I want to make my business successful, I want to be around successful business people. If I want to be, if I'm an athlete and I want to learn how to position myself to take equity in conjunction with compensation now, guess what? I want to be around people that are doing that. But just stay away from doing all that drinking.
If you're not drinking, that's cool. It's more for me.
Well,
nothing against anybody drinking.
I get you on the smoking part. That's just gross.
Yeah. But I mean, like you said, they marketed back in the 40s and 50s. Every movie actor and was smoking a cigar or a cigarette, So, but all right. So that brings us to the end of another episode of Flex for Life. Please remember to like, subscribe, and follow. I want to again thank my co-hosts Greg and Q. Until next time, we'll see you. Have a great day.